A shadowed corridor in Berkeley Castle leads to the place where King Edward II met his final end. A legend says a red-hot poker was used, but what truly happened may be worse than myth. Imagine ruling a kingdom, then being caged in your own land, betrayed, imprisoned, stripped of your title. This was King Edward II's fate after his wife Isabella turned against him. Isabella of France, joined by her lover Roger Mortimer, invaded England in 1326. The king's power crumbled. His enemies surged. His closest allies were captured and slain. Edward fled to Wales, desperate and humiliated. But there was no escape. He was seized and dragged back into the country he no longer ruled. By January 1327, he was forced to abdicate in tears. On January 21st, the crown was taken from him and handed to his teenage son, Edward III. The once mighty ruler of England had become a prisoner, not of war, but of politics, betrayed by his own blood and locked away like a forgotten criminal. After his fall, Edward II was sent to Berkeley Castle in Gloucestershire. There, he was locked away under the guard of Mortimer's most loyal men. The cell was damp, narrow, and perched above a stinking dungeon. Chroniclers described it as a place designed to break the mind before the body. He wasn't called Your Majesty anymore. He was Edward of Caernarfon, a title that mocked his disgrace. No crown, no court, just stone walls and whispers. Local men were paid to watch over him. Some reports claim he was mistreated, fed poorly, exposed to filth, kept in near darkness. At times, rumors swirled of daring rescues. Edward was shuffled from one hideaway to another. But by September, he was back at Berkeley and watched more closely than ever. In the early hours of September 21st, 1327, young Edward III received the grim news. His father had died suddenly at Berkeley Castle. The official statement was vague. A sudden illness, they claimed. But to many, it was no illness. It was murder. The timing was too perfect. Edward's death came just as rumors of rescue were building. Mortimer's grip on power depended on the king staying silent. Forever. Medieval writers would later describe the scene in shocking detail. The Tudor chronicler Holinshed wrote that assassins used a red-hot iron to kill Edward through his anus. This horrifying tale was told to stain the king's memory and portray Mortimer as a monster. Plays and novels spread the image like wildfire. But most historians today reject the poker story. It first appeared years after Edward's death. Likely propaganda crafted to ruin reputations on both sides. Killing a king that way would leave evidence. More likely, Edward was suffocated quietly, a pillow pressed down while guards looked away. Whatever the method, by September 23rd, the realm accepted it. Edward II was dead. With Edward gone, Isabella and Mortimer ruled in their young son's name. But Edward III was no puppet. In 1330, he took back power in a daring coup. Mortimer was seized at Nottingham Castle, tried and executed, hanged and beheaded for treason. Among his charges, the murder of Edward II. Isabella was spared execution, though she lived in quiet seclusion. The court painted her as misled rather than malicious. History would remain divided. Edward's embalmed body was denied burial at Westminster. Instead, it was taken to Gloucester Abbey. He was buried on December 20th, 1327. The ceremony was lavish. Gold lions, painted flags, even a wax figure of the fallen king. Edward III wanted to restore dignity to his father's name. Today, Edward's tomb still rests in Gloucester Cathedral, an ornate alabaster monument visited for centuries by mourners and historians alike. Some saw him as a martyr, others as a fool, but none could deny the darkness that swallowed his reign. No one truly knows how Edward II died. The red-hot poker legend lives on, but fact and myth have long blurred in this grim chapter of royal history. What is certain is this: he died humiliated, powerless, and imprisoned by those he once trusted. A king undone not on the battlefield, but in a prison cell. His death is a reminder. In the world of thrones, betrayal bleeds more than war ever could. And sometimes, the sharpest blade is the silence of history.